Hello folks, Trouble TCat here. Today I'm going to be talking a bit about the closed beta for Rainbow Six Siege. It's not a very closed beta, a lot of people do have access to this, but some of you may not, and I think there's a lot to talk about with this game, actually. So let's get into it. Basically, just to give you guys an overview of what it is, if you have no idea, it's a 5 versus 5 sort of tactical team-based shooter, round-based structure, 1 life per round, asymmetrical objectives. You've got one team. Basically, they're like a terrorist team who are trying to defend an objective, and they can set up all these kinds of fortifications and stuff like that. What you're seeing now is the preparation phase, where the terrorists are deploying lots of, fortifications, and Team Rainbow, the counter-terrorists, basically, in CS terms, have these little scout robots, because the objective could be in a few different places, and you can also scout out where the enemies might be camping and what kind of gadgets they have and that kind of stuff. So it's basically trying to compete in the same space as CSGO, which is really cool because CSGO doesn't have any competition, there is no other sort of team-based, tactical, really competitive shooter like that really competes, but it's unfortunate to say this, but in this state, I don't think there's much chance this game will... You can see me there thinking my dude who's going to throw a smoke grenade so hard it would bust through a bunch of planks. Unfortunately, he's kind of a wuss. Unfortunately, I don't really see this game being able to do that, to compete with CSGO at all, and I'm going to talk about why. I'm not going to compare this to old Rainbow Six games. I'm a huge fan of, Rainbow Six and Rogue Spear and Raven Shield, those sort of classic Rainbow Six games. But obviously this game is not trying to be like those titles. Ubisoft's never going to make another, real Rainbow Six game, not after how popular Vegas and Vegas 2 were, so I guess those are just some hopes and dreams I'm going to have to give up on. Anyway, before I get into the sort of negatives and stuff about this game that I think, I don't think this game's going to be successful, basically. And I'll talk about why in a moment, but first I'd like to start by talking about some, there are actually positives to it. When it's firing on all cylinders, when you're, busting into a room and, you got, shit blowing up and guns going off and exciting stuff happening, the game can actually be really fun. The sound design's really good. The overall sort of, the graphics aren't that amazing, but the destructible environments, I think that it looks really good considering considering all the destructible stuff, and, it's going to come out on consoles, obviously, so kind of limited. I think it actually does look really good. Considering that stuff, I really like the mechanics of the game. Some of the mechanics. I really like the interplay between the fortification and the sort of really destructible environments. I think it can actually make for some pretty interesting sort of strategic situations. Probably to the same extent in terms of strategy you might see in CS. I mean, assuming you have all enough time maps and stuff. I think it could. Definitely have the potential, in some respects, to be a really good sort of strategic, interesting, tactical shooter. Unfortunately, there are some major obstacles to realizing the potential this game has. Right now, there are a lot of issues with actually getting into matches and some pretty bad balance issues. I'm not going to talk in detail about that because those are issues present in the beta that I think are actually likely to be fixed. Really obvious balance issues and really broken matchmaking and stuff like that. I'm assuming that's all, going to be fixed for the launch. We'll give them the benefit of the doubt there and say that they probably won't leave stuff super broken from the beta. No, I think the biggest obstacle to this game really becoming a game to take seriously competitively, and the least likely thing that they're going to change, is the way the weapons handle. It's way too easy to aim and shoot, way too quick and easy for any noob to get a frag, basically. One of the most important things about CS working as a game, as a competitive game, is how difficult it is to actually master the shooting mechanics. The game, it makes getting frags really satisfying because you actually have to work for your kills, and more importantly, for it being a competitive game. Although that's important because people aren't going to want to spend time really trying to master something if it's not satisfying to do. But importantly, it also is something where good players and bad players can really distinguish from each other. So, a good shooter in CS:GO is going to be at a huge advantage against someone who's bad, and, you know, in this game, I just don't feel like there's any kind of difficulty or much real satisfaction to shooting. It's just way too easy. Then again, MOBAs and Call of Duty and stuff pretty much involve zero actual mechanical skill, and those games got popular, so maybe that's not really a killing blow for the game. Just sort of, it's a killing blow for me being able to take it really seriously as a challenging, skillful game. I don't think they'll change this, because when you start making it hard to actually get kills, you alienate a lot of players who just want to fucking play something that's really... Like, they want to get kills and feel good about themselves and stuff. That was like, why COD was so successful. So, for financial reasons, basically, I seriously doubt they'll make the shooting mechanics challenging enough to really make this game work as a sort of competitive shooter. So, I think that's going to really hold this game back. Second issue, at the moment, there's no penalty for people leaving matches. There's no kind of ranking system either, but that's kind of okay. You don't necessarily need that. But it's good to have, but you don't necessarily really need it. It really ruins the game, though. Like, the game really needs to be 5v5. It really ruins the game having people sort of rage quit matches and stuff like that. They need some way to penalize people for that. I hope they're planning something like that, because otherwise that's going to be really, really frustrating. They may be planning to add that. I'm not sure. A third issue. I'm 90% sure that the game is going to add microtransactions to allow you to unlock the different characters. You can earn them by playing the game at the moment, but like when you earn this in-game currency thing by playing, and when you unlock a new character, it's like spend this thing to unlock the character, confirm, and like hyper confirm, etc. The way the whole thing is designed, I don't know. I didn't research whether or not they've confirmed if there will be microtransactions or not, but the way the interface is set up and the way the sort of the market is at the moment with video games, I would be very surprised if there are not microtransactions. I'm not saying it's going to be pay to win, because, you know, you can earn these characters through playing, but I just don't think it's ever good for a competitive game to have a way to spend money to get things that affect gameplay, even if it's not blatantly more powerful, just more choice. Having more choice is... It's makes you... Having more choice is essentially having more power in a lot of ways, and I don't think you should be able to spend money on stuff. Speaking of the whole character system, what is the deal with all these fucking shooters now having, like, a select your named character from, like, ripping, like, basically taking that aspect of MOBAs and shoving it into shooters? I don't think it's necessary. I don't think it actually helps. I think it's just like, MOBAs are really popular. Let's steal some features from MOBAs and put it in our shooter. I don't think it makes games worse. I just don't think it makes them better. It just seems like they just shoved it in because MOBAs were popular, so it's kind of weird. Whatever, though. Fourth problem, no dedicated game servers. Now, I could be wrong about this. The issues I'm seeing could be for some other reason. They announced that there would be dedicated servers for the game, both on launch and in this beta. It's the same sort of servers they're going to be using. Man, those floor reflections look really nice. Although, somebody cleaned the shit out of, polished the shit out of the floors in here. Like, that's really shiny. Anyway. Sorry, I got distracted by how shiny the floors were. What they've got right now, which apparently are the same servers they're going to be using for launch, I'm pretty damn sure when they said dedicated servers, what they actually meant was it's like data centers handling some of the matchmaking and back-end stuff, and not actually game servers. And the reason I think this is that I've seen, like, host migration messages, and I'll be in servers with a bunch of other Australians, and some of them will have shit pings, and some of them will have good pings, and that's a thing you get a lot in Australia in games that are peer-to-peer, because the host basically, like, it's to do with the way the host connection is prioritizing shit, and it just happens that way sometimes. And because they don't have enough upload bandwidth to actually provide a good connection to everyone. And I've seen host migration screens, so that's like a pretty much a dead giveaway, right? I think it's really scummy if they are doing what I'm pretty sure they're doing, what I've just sort of described, to say that the game is going to have dedicated servers. Like, it's technically true, there are dedicated servers they're using for some parts of the game, but not for, you know, the important part that people are actually going to give a fuck about. It's actually going to really affect the moment-to-moment gameplay. You cannot have a game like this with P2P servers. It's a fast-paced shooter. You can't do that. It's not acceptable, especially not if you want to be competitive. So, I mean, there's more stuff I think that actually covers it pretty well. To conclude, there's a lot of potential, and sometimes the game can be really fun, but as a serious competitor for, like, CSGO or a contender to be a really sort of good, solid, competitive online shooter, either at an esports level or just in terms of being a fun, competitive game for the sort of layman to really sink their teeth into, no. I expect this game to die pretty quickly and with little fanfare, unless some of these things are reversed before launch or within the launch window, and I'm really skeptical that they're going to fix the game enough to really make it live up to its potential, which is sad, because like I said, I think there's actually, when it's working, it works, and I think there's potential for really interesting strategy, but I don't know, I just don't see it living up to that. So my advice here at the moment is to skip this game. Well, thanks for watching, guys. Hope you enjoyed the video. Hope you enjoyed my new microphone. Until next time, Trouble T Cat out.